Hello, good morning and welcome to the AMUs with me, Mapita CBD. Now, in our first story, the leadership of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, has with immediate effect suspended Mali. Now, this is the outcome of the emergency summit held at the Kempinski Hotel in Accra, called by the chairman of ECOWAS, President Akufo-Addo, to deliberate on the political crisis in Mali following the coup by the Malian military led by Colonel Assimi Goïta. Now, President Akufo-Addo says ECOWAS remains resolute in their determination to find a lasting solution to the political crisis in Mali.
Following the announcement of the new government, the President and the Prime Minister of the transitional government were held in custody by the military. In view of the gravity of the situation, I asked the mediator to lead a high-level mission to Mali, which included the chair of the ECOWAS Council of Ministers and the president of the Commission, to assess the situation and report back to me. The ECOWAS delegation held consultations with Colonel Assimi Goïta, Vice President of the Transition Government, on the situation at hand, to consider the most appropriate exit strategy to the crisis. The ECOWAS delegation demanded the immediate and unconditional release of the President and Prime Minister of the transition and other detainees. The delegation was able to meet with the President of the transition and the Prime Minister on Wednesday, 26th of May 2021, who informed them that they had tendered their resignation. Later that night, these two most senior transitional officials were released from detention. The remaining detainees, according to the military hierarchy, have also been released. Excellencies, the delegation also discussed the way forward for the political transition in Mali with the Vice President. The mediator will, in his report to the closed session of this emergency summit, tell us more about these exchanges. I urge Your Excellencies to remain resolute in supporting the people of Mali to find a peaceful solution and restore democracy and stability in the country. In this respect, we must critically examine the dynamics of the current situation and make informed decisions. I'm thus using this opportunity to reiterate, on behalf of ECOWAS, our continued commitment to the peaceful transition in Mali, with a basic goal of restoring democratic government and working for the stability of Mali and of our region.
Away from that, little Kwekutera was found dead with his head and belly riddled with nails a day after he went missing in the Kwabre East municipality of the Ashanti region. 3 months on, mother of the 1.5-year-old boy is crying for justice. Little Teria is the third child to be murdered in the past 3 months in the Ashanti region. Love FM's Erastus Asari Donko visited 2 affected families and has filed this report.
Little Teria enjoyed playing with his twin siblings in front of their home here at Asnomaso. It's been 3 months since he was abducted and murdered. The pain of the loss remains fresh on the mind of his mother, 35-year-old Sarah Apia.
We went to radio stations and information centers to report of our missing child, but to no avail. We found out that our son had been killed and dumped in an uncompleted toilet facility.
The body of little Kweku Teria was found with his head and belly riddled with nails a day after he went missing. His father, Yao Gabriel, walked me from the spot in front of his house where he left the boy to this uncompleted public toilet. The boy was found dead here. We found his body here. He still had some of his clothes on. He had defecated on himself, and there was a bloody wooden plank lying here with nails on it. We think they used it to punch holes on his head and his stomach. I've been thinking about it and I just can't make sense out of it. It is still a mystery as to who or what killed the 1.5-year-old boy. His body was found with nail holes in his head and belly inside this uncompleted toilet. Now, as investigations continue, about 2 miles from here to this side, another boy is missing. This time, a 19-year-old student of Aguna Senior High School. Come with me as I visit the family to find out how it happened and what has happened since then. It's been 2 weeks since Emmanuel Nyameche Jesse, also known as Koima, went missing. His father, Anthony Kwajo Jesse, sent him to pick a cloth from neighboring Ntonso and has since not been found. It's been 2 weeks since my son went missing. I sent him to collect clothes from the tailor who normally sews my kente clothes. He has not been seen since. His name is Emmanuel Nyameche Jesse. He's a student of Aguna Sectec. I'm urging the public to help me find him. He was wearing khaki trousers and a mauve, red and white striped t-shirt.
T-shirt, club t-shirt, mauve ne white ne red. If you don't ekusi.
The Asnomanso police say investigations are yet to produce any arrests in both cases. Reporting for JoyNews, Erastus Asaredonko, Asnomanso, Kwabri East, Ashanti region.
Now, the Central Regional House of Chiefs is urging traditional authorities and family heads in the region to get involved in the Forestry Commission's drive to plant over 5 million trees across the country. Its president, Odifo Amwaka Baidu VIII, says beyond the 1 million trees that will be planted in the region, there should be a conscious effort by traditional authorities to collaborate with the Commission to plant more trees in the areas to save the environment. Richard Kojonyako has more from an interaction between the chiefs and leadership of the Forestry Commission in Cape Coast.
The Forestry Commission has indicated its intention to plant millions of trees across the country. The Central Region is expected to plant nearly 500,000 trees on the 11th of May. Already, some churches and educational institutions have embraced the idea of collaborating with the Commission on this drive. President of the Central Regional House of Chiefs, or therefore Amuakwa Buedu VIII, says the traditional authorities should look at the importance of the tree planting exercise and offer the needed support to the Commission.
I was at the 2-day mining dialogue organized by your ministry, and the 2 days I spent with you changed my perception about small-scale mining in general. And I'm happy that you have followed it up with this Green Ghana Day. And there could not be a better opportunity because we see our forests depleting to the extent that sometimes we see licenses given to people to move into our forest reserve to mine, and this affects our forests that we have. In my area, I'm having an engagement session with all my chiefs tomorrow morning with the forestry team, and we are ensuring that every chief, every head of family, Ebusuapeni, every queen mother, opinion leaders will be involved in this exercise.
CEO of the Forestry Commission, John ADOTEY, was elated upon the support by the regional minister and the traditional authorities. He intimated their support would make Ghana green again.
We, as you heard from the regional House of Chiefs, they want to plant every year, and then we will support this project. We want to inculcate into the youth the need to plant trees and nurture them. We also want to use this as a means of improving the local economy by getting some of the local communities to develop the seedlings themselves, which the Forestry Commission will purchase, as part of this planting exercise. So that means that you are generating some form of jobs in the local community, and that is very important. This project, as the minister said during the lunch, is going to continue. Each year he will set a new date and a new target based on the review of the previous year's target. So it's going to continue for a long time.
Central Regional Minister Justina Marigold-Asan promised the support of the region in the drive to make the country green again. Reporting for Joy News, Richard Kwejunyako, Cape Coast.
Now, the Biakea District Chief Executive, Comfort Atta, has described her administration as the best performing era since the establishment of the district some 13 years ago. Now, according to her, the Assembly has within the last 3 years undertaken over 100 projects and programs which have benefited the residents. She hopes to be given the nod to continue her accelerated development. She was speaking to the media following allegations that her administration did virtually nothing within the first term of the new Patriotic Party government.
Yes, I think I was appointed barely 3.5 years ago, on November 3rd, 2017. And from that time up to this time, I can count numerous things that we have done to develop Biakea district. We have undertaken major projects such as putting up an assembly complex. There is also the Regional Health Directorate that is also being put up. It is a facility that, when completed, will bring about jobs for our people. When that project is completed, our teeming youth will get a lot of work to do. In the education sector, we have done about over 8 projects, almost 10 projects. In terms of school buildings, in terms of teachers' quarters, in terms of libraries, computer labs, and others. Under education, we also have some sanitary facilities like institutional toilets that we have put up, dining hall at Tapamine Senior High School, and then some boreholes to make sure that the schools have water. In the health sector, we have done over 10 projects. We have Chiefs Compound attached with 2 semi-detached nurses' quarters at Bori Odumasi, Bori Anyinase, and at Nkonya Asachi. And also Nkonya KJB, we have put up.
Now I'm taking you through the various newspapers that we have today. I'll start with the Daily Graphic newspaper. Here's what's on the front page of the paper today. Culture of silence not here, according to President Akufo-Addo as he spoke in Cape Coast. Mali suspended from ECOWAS. Akufo-Addo urges leaders to help restore democracy. Still on the front page of the Daily Graphic newspaper, Commonwealth or commemoration of World No Tobacco Day. Smokers urged to seek counseling. There's some startling figures that I'll be bringing to you. Also, Chambers endorses pretty tough, and pretty tough is in quote, pretty tough measures against Galamsey. That's Ibn Chambers. If you go to the center spread of the paper, it's actually a news feature. And I would love it if you can see what I'm seeing in the center spread of the Daily Graphic newspaper. Fighting Galamsey, our water, our life, and essentially a tour of some of the water bodies that we have in our country, the ones that have been polluted. So you see raw water intake points at Dabwasi in the western region, and the kind of water that is going, through the process so that homes can receive the water. You'd see this in a little while. This is the center spread of the Daily Graphic newspaper. It's a feature highlighting how the water. Pra River, for instance, has turned milky brown. And then there's also sections of the Fin River at Dunkwa on Ofin obstructed by Galamsey activities. So it's just the distraction and the situation as we find it in our country today. There's an area view of the devastation caused to the Pra River by Galamsey activity. So apart from the obstruction, there's also the distraction itself of the water. So in some situations, you won't find any water at all, even though it's a river. They've just diverted the course. And then you'd find what's the definition of water again? Let's all remind ourselves. It's supposed to be colorless, right? But what we find. So essentially, what the feature is highlighting is the fact that we don't even have water because it doesn't meet the definition, the common definition of water. On the back page of the Daily Graphic, there are some sports stories there. Legon Cities apparently was a shock. They shocked Ash Gold at Obuasi. It's not surprising, though, that Kumasi Asante Kotoko drew. Not surprising at all. But that's what you find in the Daily Graphic newspaper by way of the headlines. I'll come back and highlight on some of the stories that we found on the front page of the paper. But let's move to the Ghanaian Times newspaper. On the front page of the Ghanaian Times, Mali's political crisis. ECOWAS leaders commit to peaceful resolution at a day's extraordinary meeting here in Accra. Also, police chase killers of Karaga DCE's driver. 1,000 rendered homeless by tidal waves in Ketu South. Free SHS reverse decades of exclusion. That's according to President Akufo-Addo there. If you go to the page 3, where we have the crime-related stories, we're told that a 31-year-old man has been sentenced to 12 years imprisonment with hard labor by the Jasikan Circuit Court for attacking and robbing a mobile money vendor of unsuspected sum of money at Likpe Kokron-Sumi. Details of that story is on page 3. And then police chase killers of Karaga DCE's driver. Full story is also on page 3 in the Ghanaian Times. 21 suspects remanded over alleged same-sex sexuality. So these 21 are suspected to be engaging in same-sex sexuality. They've been remanded in police custody by a whole circuit court to reappear on June 4, 2021 for their plea to be taken. So this is a brief by the police PRO in the Volta region. He confirmed the story to the Ghanaian Times in Ho and said that preliminary charges of unlawful assembling has been preferred against the suspect, who were expected to reappear in court on June 4, 2021. It gives a good background where they were found at about 11 a.m. The Volta Regional Police Command received information that some persons had converged, and this was on May 20. They had converged at the Nurses and Midwifery Hotel in Ho and were engaging in activities believed to be same-sex sexuality. So the police proceeded to the hotel and arrested 21, made up of 16 females and 5 males. And according to him, police investigations uncovered literature on LGBT+ and retractable banner to the fact that they were advocating same-sex sexuality. Police arrest 25 motorcycle riders. Also another story. So they were picked up in an operation last Wednesday. The exercise, which was conducted in the Central Business District, was to ensure sanity on the road. If you look at the center spread, well, details of what's on the front page by way of the ECOWAS action, and then the free SHS where the president was honored, really, and then you find in the center spread a painted portrait presented to him at the program. On the back page, sports, Kotoko hold Diana at Doma, and then Legon City's shock. Okay, so this is the second headline in another newspaper that describes Legon City's win as a shock. So that's what's on the back page of the Ghanaian Times newspapers, the sports stories on the back page of the Ghanaian Times newspaper. Let's bring you now from the Ghanaian Times newspaper. We move to the Daily Guide newspaper. On the front page of the Daily Guide, petition hits Kosa appointment. He dismisses spurious claim. Chief fights MCE over court summons. Nana rejects culture of silence. ECOWAS leaders in for Mali crisis. Agina chiefs chase VRA over failed promises. These are the stories on the front page of the paper with details in the inside pages. If you go to the center spread, the News One Entertainment, Ghana media is toxic. That's media personality Vanessa Jan, who's described working in Ghana's media scene as toxic, and commended colleagues who have been speaking the truth about their bad experiences in the media space. Eddie Watson mourns late mother. Wizkid, Burna Boy, Diamond Platinums for 2021 BET Awards. If you look at the back page of the paper, still sports. Chelsea is still celebrating with supporters all across the world getting involved in the jubilation as well. Well, we hate it, but they did a fantastic job. So congratulations to Chelsea and all the fans. Let's go through the Daily Dispatch newspaper. On the front page, over 50% of prisoners between 18 to 25 years prisons service. So over 50% of the prisoners are between 18 to 25 years. This is a very productive age, and they all find themselves in prison. We will be bringing you a lot more on the subject. June 4th, 1979, explosion, Quatson's overview. Fire service personnel arrive in a taxi to douse burning house with extinguisher. It comes with a picture of a fire extinguisher. And I'm hoping that that's not what the fire officers carried on them in that taxi to a house that was in flames. We will see what the details tells us. Stop trivializing crusade against Galamsey. That's Stephen Amor making that call. But I'm interested in this issue of the fire extinguisher. Story says it's on page 11. Okay, so let's go to page 11 and let's catch up. All right, here it is. So residents of Achim Begro in the Eastern region were shocked on Thursday, May 27, when firefighters in the district arrived at the scene of a fire outbreak in a taxi holding a fire extinguisher. A raging fire gutted a single-room house occupied by a family of 4, but the Ghana National Fire Service responded very late to the scene and in a strange manner. According to eyewitnesses, the fire started Thursday morning. The youth, however, in the community mobilized to fight the fire with water and sand. Before the arrival of the fire personnel, the fire had already consumed the building and properties, as well as 3,300 Ghana cedis cash. Outbreak was reportedly caused by gas leakage, and according to reports, the family of 4 has been displaced. Mother of 2 is, however, traumatized and on admission at Salvation Army Clinic in Begro. Meanwhile, residents in Achim Begro have expressed their disgust at the manner in which the fire service appeared at the scene, helpless. Amazing. So really, they did not just go in a taxi, but they also carried a fire extinguisher along with them to go and fight a fire that was raging, consuming a whole structure. Unbelievable. Don't even know what to say to that, really. How does that boost your confidence if you find yourself in a situation like that? But I'm sure there will be an explanation, really, why they would go not only in a taxi, but also carry a fire extinguisher with them. But let's check out what's in the Today newspaper. On the front page of Today, after brutal assault on City FM journalist, gang of 4 reassigned, and gang of 4 is in quotes. And this story is by a former editor of mine, Richmond Kielson. It says, a special investigation set up by the Ministry of National Security to investigate actions of the security operatives who assaulted a journalist at City FM concluded that the conduct of the said officers was against the ministry's operation standard. And that's also in quotes. Let's see. It's intriguing, it's intriguing details of their conduct relating to their brutalities were not given. Indeed, that fueled the suspicion among a section of Ghanaians that the ministry's investigation was simply a facade. Well, I'll leave the rest for you to read and where they've variously been taken to. We heard Azugu was taken back to the Ghana Police Service. Of course, we know about the Lieutenant Colonel who's also gone back to the army, but you might want to catch up on the other two in this piece. Social media necessary evil, according to a lawyer. That's also a piece. Full stories on page 3. It says former executive secretary of Vice Chancellor's Ghana, Peter Kaba, has described the social media as a necessary evil. He explained that it is good that we have what is called the internet, which has made communication easier and faster, but it comes also with a price which we must pay for. He further explained that the price to pay could cost us if it is not properly regulated by not regulated by bodies put in charge to ensure that the system is not abused. Let's look at the back page of the paper. Well, City boss Guardiola blamed for Chelsea win. Full story of that on the back page of the paper. It comes with celebratory pictures of Chelsea lifting the Champions League trophy. Let's look at the Finder newspaper next. On the front page of the Finder, GCB Bank records 610.83 million Ghana cedis profits before tax for 2020. Government must act on any Springfield utilization directive to protect its interests. Culture of silence claims are without basis, according to President Akufo-Addo. Free SHS has reversed decades of exclusion and has enhanced access and quality, according to the president, who was essentially responding to a series, really, which was highlighting the challenges being confronted by the policy, which has largely really not been denied by the Ghana Education Service. They say that they are improving it. And they also say that based on the last results, it has not been affected. Contact hours have not been affected and results have been great. Still on the front page of the paper, GMA demands restoration of laboratory physicians forced out of work. ECOWAS committed to ending crisis in Mali. There's been a suspension. That's the very latest from the ongoing talks in Ghana. Let's do the Republic Press newspaper. Front page, Akufo-Addo replies, Sam Jonah says no culture of silence in Ghana. We're not only burning equipment, Operation Halt has arrested 45 people. That's according to the Minister for the Attorney General and Minister for Justice, Godfrey Dame. Education Ministry to establish front desk to address concerns of teachers is also another story in the paper today. Brian Champon Foundation donates 2 units KG classroom to Kwewu Akuma. GMA wants Kath Kolebu overlap scientist strike. Robbers kill Karaga DCE's driver. And that's how the front page of the Republic Press looks like today. Let's bring you the Business and Financial Times. And on the front page, rising fuel prices, new taxes likely to keep policy rates static. Analysts as inflation forecast remains gloomy. Government must act on E&I Springfield utilization now, according to IES. FDA sustains anti-tobacco education in schools and public places. On the 2021 census, data will improve livelihoods, according to the president. Apps and Mobile Solutions secures $1 million investment from Oasis Capital. And on the back page of the Business and Financial Times, let's take advantage of COVID-19 to develop economy. That's FBN Bank Managing Director making that call. And Goil is your oil marketing company of choice, according to the group CEO and Managing Director. We've got another business newspaper, which is the Economy Times. So I'm just going to follow up with the Economy Times newspaper. Ghana's debt climbs up to 304.6 billion Ghana cedis. Tours continues non-operational to costs Ghana hugely, according to energy experts. I think we've talked about on this show how Tour continues to be in debt. Bank of Ghana holds policy rate at 14.5%. If you go to the back page of the Economy Times, double effects of renewable energy transition faces Ghana. Confidence in financial market to rise as a 10-year strategic plan is launched. And resettling the economy post-COVID-19 would take 3 years. So the first deputy governor of the Bank of Ghana has indicated that resetting Ghana's economy back to resilience would be a gradual process over the next 2 or 3 years. This would require the collective collaborative support of both the private and private sector or sectors, he said, while outlining some short-term strategies to reset Ghana's economy. And that's the Economy Times newspaper. Maybe the last newspaper, by way of what's on the front page, will be the Daily Statesman newspaper. And then I'll bring you some details in the Daily Graphic newspaper. So here's what's on the front page of the Daily Statesman. La Mankralo clears Ajay Mensah Kosa over land disputes. You might want to check out details of that. Let's listen and hear others. Akufo-Addo responds to culture of silence claims. Educationist Lord Ghana's improved teacher education. Okay, they've got some sports stories on the back page of the paper. But let's take you to the Daily Graphic newspaper, a bit of what's on the front page, the banner headline by way of the lead story. President Akufo-Addo has said he will not do anything to gag the press, nor preside over a culture of silence. He noted that as a human rights lawyer who had spent a greater part of his adulthood promoting and protecting the freedom and rights of his country and individuals, it would be ironic that his person or his government would promote a culture of silence. The president said he had been a critical and integral part of promoting for the country a constitution that upheld the freedom of association, speech, and the media, the separation of powers, the rule of law, a strong and vibrant environment, and a private sector that made people prosper and would do nothing to jeopardize the gains made in that direction. And he was speaking at a special congregation at the University of Cape Coast last Saturday. Well, that has also got quite a bit of interpretation in terms of people saying that, well, Mr. President should just allow people to have their say on issues and not think that by them talking or criticizing some policies of his, it means that they're against him, essentially. But we'll open up this discussion heavily when we settle on talk with our guest. And, you know, some people have also said that it's because of what they experience when they speak, the kind of attacks that they get. That's why they think there's a culture of silence. And if only the president will listen, then he would understand where they are coming from. But, you know, I guess we're all entitled to our opinions, if you like. He's the president. He doesn't necessarily see things the way some other people also see it. And then on this issue of smokers being urged to seek counseling, there's some startling figures. I'm going to page 24 of the Ghanaian Times newspaper. Okay, so this will be 24 and 57 of the Ghanaian Times newspaper. And it says, for instance, that currently more than 425,200 men, 69,200 women, and 2,700 boys are estimated to be using and smoking any form of tobacco product in the country. So this year's celebration, today actually is World No Tobacco Day, and this year's celebration is on the theme, Commit to Quit. Commit to Quit. So the FDA is pointing to some centers. For instance, we have the addictive disease centers at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. There's the Accra Psychiatric Hospital, the Pantine Psychiatric Hospital as well, Ankafo, and the Valley View Clinic in the Greater Accra region. There's the Adom Clinic and the Komfo Teaching Hospital in Kumasi, and Sunyani and the whole regional hospitals. If you've been trying to stop smoking and you need some kind of support, these are places that you can go, ask questions, let them talk to you, talk to them as well. But the theme is commit to quit. I like that, commit to quit. At least commit to quit, and then eventually you can get there. Highlights the issues associated with smoking and the fact that even in times of COVID, you stand a greater chance of dying because you are a smoker if you got COVID-19. So I think these are the two stories from the paper that I would highlight. I'll leave the rest to when we go on myjoyonline.com, and then I will talk about the Mali situation. Maybe we can do a bit of that whilst we get ready to go on myjoyonline.com. We'll see the full story there. But military leaders seized power for the second time in 9 months, and that's what's brought about this gathering and the sanctions thereafter. So that's the details. We will bring that to you on myjoyonline.com pretty shortly. Maybe I can just go through what's in the Daily Graphic newspaper. So page 13 in the paper, here we go, and it's on Mali. President Akufo-Addo has urged heads of state and government in West Africa to remain resolute in their support for the people of Mali, for them to find a peaceful solution to the political challenges and restore democracy and stability to that country. He said it was incumbent on the leaders of the regional bloc, the Economic Community of West African States, to critically examine the dynamics of the current situation in Mali and make informed decisions. But this is what came out of the meeting. ECOWAS has essentially suspended Mali's membership from the bloc following last week's military coup, the second in 9 months. The coup leader and now interim president, Colonel Assimi Goita, attended the meeting in Accra. Shelley Ayoko-Boucher, essentially, that's our foreign affairs minister, briefed the media where she talked about the fact that the bloc has called on Mali to nominate a new civilian prime minister immediately to adhere to an 18-month transition period and to hold presidential election next February. So Colonel Goita seized power after ordering the arrest of the transitional president and prime minister. How to solve Mali's coup conundrum? Well, we're not sure. It happens, it goes, and then it comes back again. Will this be the last time that we're meeting like this in Accra? The first time was at the Pediatric Lodge, and this time again, coming on the back of another coup. Let's check out the rest of the stories on myjoyonline.com. Esikumo Dobin Brakwa police arrest couple for allegedly burying son alive. Can we just click on that story so we can appreciate it better? There's also the strike action still on in other regions, and I'm talking about the medical laboratory scientists. We will be on the ground with our reporters to find out if really they are still striking, because we know that the National Labour Commission has secured an injunction. They're expected to call off the strike, get back to the table, sit down with them and have a conversation. But the Ghana Medical Association is also really in the mix of things, and it's becoming a fight between them and the laboratory scientists. Can we check out, if we have the story now, a bit of details of the main story there? Okay, so shall we just go down? I want the beginning of the story so I can share. Let's just, so let's just go up a bit. So it says a couple Just a little down. If we're not getting it, we'll leave the... So a couple at Bremen, Brakwa in the Central Region have been arrested by the Sikuma Dobin Brakwa police for allegedly burying their 2-year-old son alive. They were convinced by a fetish priestess that their child, who can neither talk nor walk, was a spirit child and had to be killed. Narrating what happened, Abubakar Mohammed, a tenant of the couple, said at midnight on Monday, Paul Adoba and Mamiata and the fetish priestess dug a grave and buried a 2-year-old alive. Unbelievable. And this is 2021. This just happened last Monday. The rest of the story, a very tragic story, is on myjournline.com. I'll leave the rest for you to explore because of time. But we have a little time to take you through what's on the BBC. So let's do the BBC page. And I guess for some of us, one of the things that happened in the UK was the marriage between these two, the British Prime Minister and his girlfriend or fiancé, got married. They say in a secret wedding, really. Okay, so that's it for the review. You've seen the papers. You can go to the newsstands and grab the papers and read thoroughly if you find any of the subjects interesting. You can also log on to myjournline.com, where we have a lot of news as well. We've got sports coming your way, after which we will settle down and talk about some of these matters in detail. The issue of the culture of silence, the president's response. Some say he's responding to some Jonah, but we'll look at critically what he also had to say. And then we'll also look at his comments on the free SHS as well. We'll talk about the sad, tragic incident of that 11-month-old baby who was mistreated, and that led to her death, we understand. Parents released a press statement. We'll share that in detail with you. We're told she was going to turn 1 next month, but sadly, she didn't live to see her first birthday, even though they were all looking forward to it. We've got some other big issues in the country to look at, so stay with us. Sports coming your way next. I guess it's all Chelsea, isn't it? But check the local league table again, and you find that the Great Oak is still up there. Stay with us.
3 times Thomas Tuchel and Pep Guardiola have met in 2021 in 3 different competitions. 3 times the German have come on top over the Spaniard, beating him in the Premier League, the FA Cup, and when it mattered most, on a night of European football in the UEFA Champions League final, £89 million signing. Kai Havertz stepped up to score the only goal as Chelsea defeated Manchester City in the grand finale of the UEFA Champions League. Luckily, Accra House of Oak have extended their lead at the summit of the Ghana Premier League table to 2 points over close contenders at Santi Kotoko after they were held to a 0-all stalemate. Legon Cities have moved 9 places on the Ghana Premier League table, having started the Premier League season poorly. An opportunity for Swansea City and Andrea Yu to play in the Premier League came to an end as Brentford qualified to play in the English Premier League for the first time since 1947. I am Muftar Nabila Abdullahi, and I welcome you to the AM Sports on the AM Show. Let's start with Ghana Premier League stories, where Accra House of Oak have extended their lead at the top of the Ghana Premier League table after beating Brecum Chelsea 2-0 on Sunday night, courtesy of goals from Benjamin Efutu and Kojo Obin Jr. Legon Cities are now 9th after skipping Ash Gold in Obuasi, and Kerala United struggles in the second round continues as they were held to a 1-all stalemate by Great Olympics.
John Fusu Darlington, lovely pass. Now Karela looking dangerous. Randolph going solo. It's a penalty. Karela have won themselves a penalty. The bench can afford an applause. So it's a handball against the 15-goal man in the Premier League. Steps for it is Diawusi Taylor. Lovely, calm and composed. Karela up by 1-0, and he's got 16 goals in the Premier League so far. That's what to hang on the ball, going solo. Kasim sends a through pass. Here is Ashikwe. That's the equalizer.
It's a brilliant goal, but credits now, and every credit goes to Kasim here. Did well to wiggle past his man. And I told you that Shaibu was facing a different proposition in.
Far is goalless at this stage. And it goes to the far side. The clearance was poor from the goalkeeper. And what on the earth was he doing? Maka Jekum. Free kick. Legon Cities. Bended in. And that's a goal. Kofi Mensah failed to deal with it. And it's the defense warrior, Isaka.
You see it here from Anane with that free kick, and it took a wicked bounce just in front of Kofi Mensah. I couldn't hold on to the ball because of the slippery nature of the pitch here. We see that free kick from Anane, and it hit that. You see that bounce, but good reaction from Isaka Mohammed. What a goal!
Quick swan in, heads go up, and the Phobians are up by 1-0. Benjamin Afuto, 9 minutes, and Al-Samok from that delicate corner from Ibrahim Salifu, and the pinpoint header from Benjamin Afuto. They are 1-0 up here at the Accra Sports Stadium. Yeah, this is textbook from Hartford. The fans are absolutely enjoying this because it's a lovely corner kick. Goalkeeper can't come out and claim it. It's very, very far away from here. Benjamin Afuti, all on his own, left the mark. All he had to do was to watch the ball rise at the right time and get a proper connection to it. But it's important, something that very versatile attackers do that. Barnier finds Obin Jr. In such places, he's lethal. Not for a second did I think he was going to miss it. Once he has the space, he has the time, and the boys on his left side, you just know what he's going to do. Go for power, but credit to Bani again. Lovely reverse pass to Obin Jr. Had all the time in the world. It's a brilliant strike, he really is, because so I was expecting to go across to the far side.
A sleeping giant finally appears to be awake as Accra House of Oak resurgence continues. However, their head coach, Samuel Bode, insists that they're not competing with anyone despite winning 5 games consecutively without conceding any.
What we need is 3 points. It's very important. And as play with the Brecum Chelsea, it's not an easy match. People may think that they are not in the good position so that it's easy, but it's not easy. The teams are down, are really doing well. So we as a folk, we play match after match and we are doing our own thing. We are not competing with anyone. And I believe that we are finished with this one. This one is gone. Now we are preparing towards the next match.
Don't you think you could have won this game by more than 2 goals? The first half was yours. Second half turned all over into the favor of your opponents.
Yeah, that's the nature of the game. Because sometimes when you are in a up, definitely the one who is down will try to come up. So we have to do the medium pressing and then low pressing so that you can contain them.
And now let's do Legon Cities. Despite splashing thousands of dollars to some of the best talents in Ghana football, they started the Ghana Premier League poorly. But now they seem to be back to competing for a place to maintain their status as a Ghana Premier League club. Head coach of that team is Bashiru Hayford, and he's been speaking about how they are wounded warriors and they will be fighting till the end.
I think that is the reason why we came. Else we wouldn't have come at all. Because we knew that we didn't start well. And now that now we are geared up and they are finding their rhythm. So coming here means we want to come and continue with the rhythm they have. So we are here not to joke. We are here to collect the maximum 3 points.
Well, the last time Ashanti Gold lost here, it was Liberty Professionals, an Accra-based team, that beat them. And the last time they lost in Accra, it was your team, Lagos Cities, that beat them. It was quite a thrashing. Are you here to repeat that thrashing?
Yeah, that is my wish. If that wish is the wish of God, I think it will come true.
Now, from Ashanti Gold, let's do Kaola United. They finished the first round of the Premier League on second place. Unfortunately, in the second round, they are yet to win a single match. In their game against Great Olympics, they took the lead. However, they were perched back as that game ended just 1-1. And head coach of the team, Evans Augustine ADOTEY, has been speaking about how they lowered their performance in the second half.
I said earlier, my ambition was to claim the maximum point to ensure that we close the gap between us and the one on at the top. I mean, Hasselhoek. Yeah. Unfortunately, things turned the other side. In the game of football, I keep on saying that it is all about setting your objectives right and ensuring that players go by your style of play or game plan under the principles of play. We took a first half lead, but unfortunately, we gave up the fight till we came back in the last 20 minutes to struggle for the winner. But things turned the other way.
Well, hello. Yes. Well, you've just been listening to our conversation off air, but we're on air now. So let me just straight away introduce my guest, Dr. Clement Apak, is Member of Parliament for Busa South. He's member on the Education and Privileges Committee. You heard them talk.
Education and Public Accounts Committee.
Public Accounts, great. Also in the studio is Pius Hajide, his former Deputy Information Minister. We're yet to figure out which agency he will be taken to. Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Happy New Year. I think this is the first time I've come to the studios the whole of this year.
Oh, that's not good. But
it's good. I was recovering from a very vigorous and hectic campaign. So
was it a hectic for you? I mean, isn't your area like a done deal?
No, I was one of the targeted MPs that the current government had determined I shouldn't return.
Why not?
Apparently, I'm a pain in the
But you're such a good material for Parliament.
Well, they don't see it that way, right?
Oh, that's unfortunate.
So, there was a concerted effort. In fact, my good friend Pius had assured me on one occasion when we met on a flight to Tamale that I should watch my movement. They are coming after me.
Wait, what? Was that an assurance or that was a threat?
It was a threat. Yeah. Obviously.
Probably.
But you made it.
With his usual nice smile.
Let me take the opportunity to say good morning to you and to my senior colleague, the Honorable Dr. Apak, and to our cherished viewers. And let me once again assure Dr. Apak that the MPP is going after all the 275 seats in Parliament. It doesn't have anything to do with him as a person. We had a parliamentary candidate in his constituency, and we were very supportive of that fine young man who we wanted to take over from Dr. Apak. To all intents and purposes, Dr. Apak is a fine young man, but we believe that the people of Bulsa had a better alternative in the young man. And we supported him. And not because, again, we targeted Bulsa as a seat, but we had our eyes on all the 275 seats. And that's fair for any party. Why did they contest, even in the president's home constituency? They contested there too. And so it's fair to contest in every elections. I'm happy that he's come back to Parliament. But I can assure him that it will be his.
Are you saying that you're happy that you failed?
No,
you're happy that you failed?
No, we didn't fail. I mean, he just admitted that it was a very difficult contest.
Oh, yes.
And so I know that. I mean, I'm happy that this is his last term. You know, and so we'll get there. We'll get there.
We've just started the 4 years. We're a long way away from that.
It's always a good spot, so it's okay.
Yeah, but gentlemen, thank you so much for coming. I want want us to start off just brief comments on this issue of a caregiver in a school who mistreated an 11-month-old baby who was just going to turn 1 next month, by the way. That led to the death of this child. The police is handling the matter. The caregiver, we're told, is in police custody, assisting with investigations. But there's been a statement that was issued over the weekend, and I want us to just briefly go through that statement and get some brief comments from my guests. And this has to do with the circulation of closed-circuit television footage showing force feeding of 11-month-old baby at Happy Bloomed School. And it says our attention has been drawn to the circulation of a video extract from a CCTV footage showing a classroom at the Happy Bloomed School in Agbogba, North Legon. The said video contains very graphic images of our 11-month-old daughter, who was on Tuesday, May 18, 2021, restrained with both her arms clasped tightly behind her back as she was forcibly fed by Clara Yani Ampa, who was supposed to be her caregiver at the school. Painfully, our daughter died as a result of that encounter. Our daughter was an energetic and bubbly little girl who was looking forward to her first birthday next month. Losing her this way is a profoundly difficult and painful experience for us. We would have wished to mourn privately. However, given the video is circulating across mainstream and social media, we request that the public and the media remain measured in circulating and discussing the video, as it is a constant reminder of what our daughter went through. While the family is steeped in grief over the unfortunate events that led to our daughter's passing and thereafter, we acknowledge the sympathy and kind gestures of everyone. The family will share accurate accounts of events as and when it becomes necessary. Meanwhile, we ask that our privacy is respected as we mourn. This is signed by the parent of this 11-month-old. It's a very heartbreaking situation, really, because most of us working mothers are familiar with the routine where you find a very good school and you have even more confidence when you realize that they have cameras. You know, it's a very nice environment, very few babies, and there are cameras everywhere, and you are sure that they will take care of your baby. But to find that this is eventually what happened, led to her death, is disheartening. It breaks my heart, and it makes you lose confidence. You are men, but thankfully you sit on the education committee. What typically must happen to a school like this?
Well, first of all, this issue came as a shock to many of us. Quite frankly, when I heard the information initially, I thought it was a hoax until I read it on a number of portals. And indeed, as the parents have indicated, the video was in circulation. So out of curiosity and to satisfy my own quest to ascertain the veracity of the allegation, I watched it. It is most disheartening, as you said. It is shocking. I mean, this is the nightmare of every parent. I mean, no parent, would take your ward or your child to a crèche so that you can have time to earn a living, so to speak, only to be called and told that this has happened. Now, given that you are linking this to the educational setup of the country, you know, we have private and public schools. And I think from what I've heard so far, this is likely to be a private educational institution or facility. Usually, before schools are set up, or even when they are set up, we have the Inspectorate Directorate of the ministry. And they have to go and look at it and ascertain that you have met the requirements before you are given the due authorization of, like, a license to be able to operate. Depending on the level that you are engaging in to provide the services, whether it is only a crèche, a KG, a primary, or a junior high school, the standards of evaluation are different. But it is clear that this is a school that, at least from the outside and from what we know so far, seems to have put in place the needed mechanisms to ensure that children who are under their care were given the proper treatment and attention. I think that would explain why they had a CCTV in the first place. So that is commendable. But I think perhaps where many are asking questions is the caregiver who is responsible for this occurrence, and what factors may have precipitated, and whether or not she has been a long-term caregiver serving that institution or new, and if perhaps some background checks have been conducted to ensure that, one, she was in the right frame of mind, she had the right attitude, because I mean, taking care of toddlers is a daunting task. You need to be patient, you need to be tolerant, it is time consuming, and of course, you know, by virtue of their age, they depend solely on others for their survival. So all of these factors come into play, and I think as the investigations go on, a lot of these questions would come to bear. But be as it may, it's very unfortunate. And I mean, as a father, I have very old kids, some of them at university, second, third year, but I have very young kids as well. I mean, my youngest son is just about 2.5 years.
Why is Pius suddenly turning
two and a half years? And so I feel the pain of the parents. I mean, my son also goes to crèche. I mean, he's just 2.5, so he goes to crèche. And so it shakes everyone.
Yeah.
And let me be quick to add that as more and more of our population is moving into the middle class, where both daddy and mommy have to work, the need for these services are only going to grow. And I believe that is what has occasioned this. Otherwise, the traditional setup, where it was usually daddy who goes to work and mommy stays home to look after the kids. Or sometimes you have the benefit of having grandma coming to help. The need for crèche services was not heightened, but it is only going to increase. So perhaps, as unfortunate as this is, it should cause us to rethink and to look at what we can do so that we can avert these kinds of calamitous occurrences.
Absolutely. Pius?
Yeah, thank you very much, Mama V. I associate largely with the things that the Honorable Clement Apak has said. I'd like to begin off by expressing, I believe, our collective condolence to the bereaved family. It's a difficult moment, and the statement, you could tell from the statement, I mean, this is not a matter that should be treated lightly. And I do believe that the Ghana Education Service that superintends the educational environment in our country should attempt to look into the private space, private education space a little more than we have done over the years. We have focused heavily and sometimes maybe over-focused on the public sector. It is important that we begin to pay attention to some of the activities of the players in the private space. Because like has been said, with the growing middle-class situation that we are having, more and more working families will come up, and then the need for preschool education, crèches and so on, will become even more profound. And so there has to be standards, and there has to be assurances, and there has to be benchmarks, okay? Not just in the infrastructure, because many a times to be able to come to a conclusion as to whether there is sanity here or this is a safe space to send my child for preschool and to crèches and so on, many a times we are focused on the infrastructure, okay, the building, the facilities in the building, the ICT infrastructure, but to a large extent, the capacity, the training, the orientation the emotional intelligence of the people who are managing the kids are as important as the infrastructure. And this brings into question the issue of teacher certification in general and teacher certification for such a specialized field as preschool. It's a very technical area. It's not, because you are looking at people who we describe in education as tabula rasa. They are empty slates. So what we do with them at that stage is what imprints in them for the rest of their lives. And so we should pay particular care to preschool and early childhood development. And so teacher certification, that's why some of us were alarmed when the issue of the licensure was brought up, so that the teacher can be regularly assessed and reassessed, emotional intelligence assessed, and all of those matters brought to bear. Some of our colleagues, especially on Dr. Apak's side, were up in arms. But I think that we should even expand this to cover practitioners even in the private space. It shouldn't just be for the public schools alone. And so we can only sympathize with the family at this time. We understand that the matter is under investigation. Mm-hmm. We will encourage the police to conduct prompt and fair investigations into this matter, and anybody who is found culpable, anybody who has had a hand in the unfortunate demise of this little 11-month-old baby should be punished. I mean, I think that this would not be a substitute. It cannot assuage the feelings of the parents, but it will go a long way, at least in mitigating the pain that they will be feeling at this point, knowing that people who may have acted either negligently or willfully in the unfortunate death of their child have been held accountable and punished. We are sad.
Mama, just a quick point. I think I by and large agree with him, except that, of course, as always, you know, Pius, he tried to take a quick swipe at us.
The licensure exam bit.
Yeah, but I think the two are unrelated. By and large,
teacher certification.
This is a caregiver.
Yeah, but they
there
ought
is
to be
nothing to
certified.
indicate that this is somebody who is a professionally trained teacher. I think all of these will come to the fore when the investigation is done. But I agree with
I
him.
thought that was an example.
No, but I agree with him that in principle, even if it was the case that we were not paying attention, we ought to, given what has occurred. So I wanted to correct.
But you're not against the exam, though.
The political angle,
Okay.
and then
It's not as if your side is against that exam.
No, certainly not.
Yeah. I want us to also briefly talk about the Mali situation. This is the second time Ghana is hosting an event like this, not one that is pleasurable, if you like. But leaders of the West African grouping ECOWAS have suspended Mali's membership from the bloc following last week's military coup, the second in 9 months. They're supposed to hold elections next month in February. I don't know how we should understand what's happening in Mali. Do we have a hold on it as ECOWAS? I mean, is this something that seriously ECOWAS can deal with?
Well, if you will allow me to start speaking from the president's party. The president, you know, is the current chair of ECOWAS.
That's correct.
And coming on the back of what happened at Pijasi.
Correct. You mean when the first disruption came, when
exactly
he called quickly his colleagues, heads of state and government, to take a decision on the roadmap towards a restoration of democracy in Mali. And the junta were a party to the decisions in Pediasi. So it was very heartbreaking and disheartening that the same persons who were involved in fashioning out the roadmap towards the restoration of democracy, election of the president and so on in Mali, themselves again are acting in breach of the decisions that were taken at Pediasi. And the argument has been that, well, it is Mali, we are a sovereign state, and we can be allowed to manage our affairs, or even if you may, mismanage our affairs, as somebody has said in the past that Africans can be allowed to manage or mismanage their own affairs. But you see, by agreeing to be a member of the ECOWAS, all countries have surrendered a certain amount of their so-called sovereignty to the general will of the people of the sub-region. And so you cannot approbate and reprobate. Once you are a member of ECOWAS, it is within the mandate of ECOWAS to get involved in these matters. And so I want to begin by commending the ECOWAS for taking prompt action. And I want to single out the President of the Ghanaian Republic, who is the current chair of the Assembly of Heads of State and Government, for acting decisively. He was away when the recent interruption happened, but immediately upon his arrival, he instructed the special envoy, the former president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, H.E. Ebele Johnson, to get into Mali and to understudy the situation, and also to look at the possible ways of negotiating out of the impasse. That didn't yield any results. So quickly he called his colleague heads of state, and they met over the weekend in Accra, and they took some far-reaching decisions. One, to suspend Mali from all ECOWAS institutions, but at the same time insisting that Mali should go back to the original roadmap, essentially, which was the 18-month roadmap, 18 months roadmap towards the holding of an election. And you know what? They had done about 10 of the 18 months already, about 10. So it was left with about 8 or 9 months for the transition process to have come to an end. And so I am at a loss as to why you have been able to endure 10 months. Why? What is it that you cannot hold on to, especially when we know that the end of the transition is almost upon us anyways? Now it is instructive that ECOWAS is insisting that we should go back. We are not doing a new roadmap to extend time or anything. We have to stick to the old one. And I am happy that the other multilateral organizations and Friends of West Africa and other international powers and countries like France, like the African Union, even the United Nations, are all rallying behind ECOWAS to exert pressure on Mali. This is important because Mali can become, and it is actually gradually becoming, a haven of terrorist activities within the sub-region, and is becoming notorious for these coup d'etats. It's very, very recurrent, and if not treated properly, apart from sending the wrong signals to other persons within the West African sub-region that, hey, it's happened in Mali, so let's also attempt it here, let's try it there. If not, apart from sending that signal, what it can also do is that it can also become breeding grounds for terrorists that can spread out into the region. And that exactly is what is happening. If you check Burkina Faso, the fallouts of the various military interventions, the coup d'etats, which is the armed military groups that have sprung up, which have now become jihadi groups, are now spreading into countries like Burkina Faso and so on and so forth. And so we have to deal with this matter decisively. And I'm happy that the ECOWAS is taking steps. And that is why sometimes, you see, when we are not too careful and we want to make a storm in teacups, we should be guided. And we need to go back and read the genesis of these takeovers. How persons with dubious intent can push some agenda into the system and call for some mass action, but they may have sinister motives. They ride on the back of these mobilizations that other people may genuinely have believed that, okay, this is a call to action in the national interest, but people with sinister motives hang on to this and begin to justify takeovers and all that. When we do some of these things, we should also be careful. These are lessons that I am asking myself as a Ghanaian. What should be some of the lessons that we should be taking from the Mali experience? And one of them is the one that I just want to draw our attention to, so that in our discussions we can also brainstorm around these issues.
Great. Dr. Park, the first coup was hailed by people even in Mali. I mean, it was welcome somehow. But this one was quite, again, unexpected, but it hasn't received the same kind of response. Can ECOWAS truly resolve this matter? Mali seemed very complicated.
Well, yes, you're right, Mama V. Indeed, the Malian situation should present us with some worrisome days and nights. As Pius has rightly alluded to, if you look at the sub-region and what has been happening in the last few years, the rise in, extremist groups, so to speak, jihadists, and whatever you may like to call them, and the potential for destabilizing the entire region is real. So at any time that, a democracy is endangered or is truncated, it should be of concern to all of us. I cannot pretend to know the sentiments of the Malians and how they felt about the previous government, which was overthrown through a coup d'etat and the second coup d'etat by those who perpetrated the earlier coup d'etat anyway. But be as it may, democracy perhaps may not be the best form of governance, but it is the one that we all agree is better compared to other forms of government. Now, I have had a chance to work for a president before. And in fact, the president who was overthrown, for example, I mean, when he was elected, his investiture, we were then in power. And I was part of the then President John Dramani Mahama's entourage to the investiture. And I remember His Excellency John Mahama addressed the Ghanaian media that accompanied him to the investiture. And he made it very clear, the same narrative, the importance of having a stable Mali and its implications for West Africa versus the dangers of having a destabilized Mali, which then becomes a safe haven for extremist groups to be able to take advantage and to prepare and launch into other nations in the West African sub-region. I know that he had pledged, and I think that this is also within the same trajectory, that Ghana was going to do its best to ensure then that, the return to democracy, after what had occurred before, was sustained. So if today we are facing yet another situation where Mali seems to be in disarray, where democracy, by and large, is endangered, and as the president of ECOWAS, the president of the Republic, Nana Akufo-Addo, has decided to initiate action and has been able to galvanize support of his peers to outline the needed actions to be taken, including the suspension of Mali. I think that is in the right direction, because when it comes to these matters, it is important that we close ranks and look at the dangers that portends for all of us. Because, look at it, whether we like it or not, our wishes, our aspirations, our visions, our dreams can never be realized if we don't have peace and tranquility. And given what is going on, Burkina Faso, Nigeria, Mali, and some neighboring countries, we ought to take this matter very seriously and to do our best as part of ECOWAS to try and bring some resolution that would inure to our collective benefit as citizens of the sub-region. And I dare say that democracy is the way to go. There can't be any other way. And I think we've reached a stage where these interventions ought to be discouraged. And I want to pray and hope that this should be the last of its kind in the sub-region.
So coup is illegal, right? So why do we sit down with the coup leader the second time?
Well, I mean, sometimes you would have to speak to the stakeholders. Although they may have done something that is illegal, you clearly cannot just wish them away. They are there. They have taken over the reins of authority. They are running affairs, whether you like it or not. So you obviously would have to find a way of joining with them. I think that is usually the initial step. Obviously, there are subsequent steps that can be taken, but I don't think it is out of place for what I would call an attempt at a constructive engagement, so to speak, to try and resolve the matter.
Well, there's a French president who's threatening to pull out French troops from Mali. So I don't know how far these sanctions will go in restoring permanent peace in Mali, seeing as we're all threatened because we all come from the same bloc. But do you want to add anything briefly?
I agree with Honorable Apak. I mean, the legality or illegality of a coup may be another day, because at the base of international diplomacy is the sovereignness of every member country of all these sub-regional groups. And so Mali have their domestic rules and regulations, and at any material moment there cannot be leadership vacuum in any place. However, that power spot is being occupied is another matter, and so you have to engage with whoever is the occupant of that power spot at any time to be able to resolve whatever the challenges within that country is. And that is why sometimes it becomes important that the persons who we accuse of acting in manner not in the interest of their own country sometimes are brought around the table, because if they are not around the table, then how are you even going to get a resolution?
Okay.
But I also note from the mood of the ECOWAS leaders that this is not the only option at their disposal, but this is the first option. And so let us not take it for granted that, okay, you have been suspended, and so what if I don't behave myself and so on. The example of the Gambia comes to mind. ECOWAS on its own was able to mobilize an ECOWAS force, not this time, not from America or from France or from any other place, but a force of military was mobilized within the West African sub-region, and Yaya Jammeh was removed from government in the Gambia. If it should come to that, I hope that it doesn't, but these are all the options that are open to the ECOWAS.
Let's talk about, and I think this is the main conversation for us really, the president, some say, responding to comments made by some Jonah on the issue of a culture of silence. He says culture of silence is not here. And he was speaking in Cape Coast as he was honored for essentially the free senior high school policy. So I'm just reading a bit of what the Daily Graphic put together. And it says that, let's see exactly what the president had to say. Recalling how far Ghana had come in promoting press freedom, he said, "We did not wake up suddenly one morning, one day, to find ourselves with over 400 different radio stations and dozens of television channels instead of one radio station and one television station, both owned by the state. We went through many battles together to get to where we are today in the media sphere in the country. The criminal libel law, which had been part of the legal architecture for decades, did not just suddenly disappear from our laws. I believe it is part of my make. And that's when it comes to freedom of the press, I am certain I have nothing to apologize for with reference to anything I have ever done or said." And this is all a quote where he says, "With pride, I belong to the Dankwa Buzia Dombo political tradition, whose forebearers with great personal sacrifice fought for the democratic, open, free system of governance the country is enjoying today, and which has stood the test of time. And he was explaining that those were the values and principles he stood for and would continue to uphold. Maybe, Dr. Park, you can start off with the response to those who think that we are experiencing a culture of silence.
Well, Mama V, I think the occasion itself, how it came to be, the context, and why the president chose that occasion to, if you like, rebut the statement that was made by Sam Jonah is curious. You recognize that Sir Sam Jonah is actually the chancellor of UCC. And although I didn't watch it, but from the pictures, he was present. So in many ways, you could see that the president was well prepared to exact his pound of flesh. So we cannot discuss this matter without also referencing the context and the items that Sir Sam Jonah listed, leading him to make that now famous statement that we are experiencing a culture of silence. But you see, the president ought to know that he is speaking to the entire nation, and that there are practitioners and people whose experience have led them to conclude that indeed there is a culture of silence. We can start with, one of the former journalists working for multimedia. I speak about Manasseh Azure, when he did his documentary, investigative journalism, titled, I think it was Military in the City, and the type of response that came up. Eventually, he himself admitted that he felt threatened to the extent that he had to seek refuge outside of the country. We also know of instances where, under this president and this dispensation, radio stations belonging, or at least seen to be sympathetic to his political opposition, were closed down, whereas other radio stations seen to be sympathetic to his party, also committing similar offenses, had not been closed.
Example?
Oh, Oman FM, who doesn't know that? That is
not true.
Who doesn't know that?
That is not true. But I'll deal with it.
In any case, we also have instances where we have seen how radio personalities have been harassed by security agencies for pronouncements that they had made. We can speak about the example of Mugabe Masi, then of Muntie FM. So there are practical examples that have allowed people to believe that there is a culture of silence. And you see, once Sam Jonah made his statement, he cataloged a long list. He even made references to the fact that even in academia, where academics used to be very active in the public space, championing causes, advocating, critiquing what was going wrong in as far as society was concerned, a lot of them have suddenly gone mute. And so the president can choose to exact his pound of flesh in front of, say, Sam Jonah, but that does not still take away the perception, rightly so, that we are experiencing a culture of silence.
You said you have a response.
Well,
is it not those who are experiencing it? I mean, if you're going through it, then you can best testify. Isn't that what it is? Why do you want to take away what somebody thinks they're experiencing away from them?
The culture of silence phenomenon is something that we all know what it entails. So it is not for one to get up today to bring a new conception or definition and impose it on us and say that, okay, that's what I feel and I want to call it culture of silence, and then we should accept it as culture of silence.
Okay, so what's your definition?
So I'll come to that. And I'm rather surprised, because I would have thought that Dr. Apak, who clearly from even his gray looks like, and even from the biological reproduction he is just recounted, is older than me, should know the history of this country as far as culture of silence is concerned, to now be speaking to the issues, these two issues that he speaks of as his example of culture of silence, makes the claim a laughable one, and I will deal with it. But you see, I am rather surprised that people claim that Mr. President was responding to Mr. Samjona and Mr. Samjona was there. Mr. Samjona is not the first person to have made the erroneous claim of culture of silence in this country. In fact, he merely is repeating something that, for instance, the leader of the NDC, former President John Dramani Mahama, said on the 12th of August 2020 and repeated on the 3rd of May 2021, something that the NDC as a political party has by several press engagements made claims of, that there is a culture of silence. So the claim is not original to Mr. Samjona. And so the response is not to Mr. Samjona as a person and alone. It is to all the persons who have been making that erroneous claim over some time. Okay. And I thought that it was wise for the president to have dealt with the misconception and to have cleared the air on something that we all know was just being pushed into the system for whatever.
So help us with your definition so that we can appreciate. Because did you see how people came after Samjona?
But that definitely cannot be.
Do you recall the examples that he gave? The reason.
Well, I'll choose Mr. Samjona and how people came after him. That is not the culture of silence. In fact, that is democracy. If Mr. Samjona can speak in such vociferous terms and in such clear and strong terms, why does he think that somebody else should not be allowed to express their own feelings in the same manner? And the thinking of some is that, well, we are of a certain privilege, and when we speak, our word should be law. You know, and that because maybe we are in the media, or because we are some big man or some former CEO, or we are a knighted person, so when we speak, then nobody else can speak.
The difference, Pius, is that you are a government. You are supposed to listen. And you're supposed to get the sentiments of the people. So it's not like, you are on this side and we are on the other side. Exactly. It's not like we're coming at you and you're coming at us.
That's exactly the point. That's what I'm saying. That when you say that we are a government, when the people of Ghana speaks, they do not speak as part of the government or against the government. When Mr. Samjona is speaking, he's not speaking as against the government. He's speaking as a Ghanaian who has an opinion.
So your job is to just come and defend?
It's not a question of defending. It's a question of expressing what my opinion is. If that coincides with Mr. Samjona, he is fine. There's no culture of silence. Okay, but when I disagree with him, oh yes, then that's culture of silence.
So
that is a warped understanding of culture of silence.
Let's hear your definition then.
You see, we have lived through it. The people, and we have read all the material there is, and we know Mr. Clement Apak is here. Mr. Samjona himself has lived through the culture of silence. The culture of silence days in this country that we know about are the days where you see the state persecuting and prosecuting people who are in the business of expressing their opinion. These are the days of the criminal libel that was repealed by the very same person today who we are accusing of superintending an era of culture of silence. It is the days where you get what the president describes as the midnight knock.
Dr. Park, if we hang on to this definition, won't we be making such a big mistake because the society has moved?
We will.
This is 21st century.
But
when we say the culture of silence is creeping back into the society.
We cannot also encourage a privilege or a class society.
That is far from the case. That is far from the case.
Let's just hear him on this.
I think it will be fairer because it is a theory that you know by his submission he does not ascribe to. So if you ask him that question, you are only...
No, but you don't get to pose the question.
It's a conversation. It's a discussion. It's a discussion.
So let me make my point. You can
like
disagree.
you said, it's a democracy.
That is it. We can agree to disagree.
So now the idea should be that... So now the idea should be that if you are an accomplished person, if you are a media person, if you speak, nobody should speak. Then there's no culture of silence. Is that what we are saying?
Look,
how can that be the option? Because we're in the 21st century.
I find the definition to be out of context. We have evolved as a society over time. And so to say, as the president said, that the knock on the door, that is not the only way that people are being silenced or people are being intimidated or threatened for their views. And I will just add two other examples. You remember this journalist who worked for EIB in Bolgatanga when he did the expose about the then former minister who had been brought to the presidency and his involvement with some illegal mining. We know he was not only threatened, but his home was vandalized and he was threatened. He had to sneak out because he had a tip that they were coming after him. He had to come to Accra for survival. The editor of the WhatsApp newspaper, on 2 occasions, he was arrested, handcuffed.
So that's called
and he was, of course, because he had expressed his opinion. He had written a piece. Yes, it is a culture of silence.
You are misleading.
The point is that
you are misleading.
The point of that action is to make sure that you don't speak, that you don't express your opinion.
You are misleading. In the specific case of the editor of the WhatsApp newspaper,
when people suffer for expressing their opinions,
allegation of bribery was made to the police.
It was never proven up to today.
But I'm saying that an allegation was made. The police have a duty to take action. How do you interpret that to me? A culture of silence.
So when an allegation, so are you saying that when an allegation is made, the first step is to go and arrest the person,
you handcuff him at night,
and you drive him all the way to another region? We can do this properly. I'm saying that that's the introduction of the class society and the privileged lot.
I don't see class from the examples that he's given.
If Dr. Clement Park made a complaint against an ordinary Busa citizen who threatened his life, he would expect the police to act. But if an ordinary Ghanaian citizen makes an allegation of crime against another person, Mr. Apak is indicating here that because he's the editor of a newspaper, he's insulated from police action.
But I'm sorry, Pius. I'm sorry, Pius. I'm sorry, if the
action, then that is culture of silence.
Pius,
how can that be?
If the standard operating procedure for the police is to go and arrest when a complaint is made, then I'm sorry. I don't think that is proper. Because you must investigate before.
I have said that.
It really doesn't matter who is making the reports.
Mama V, that's a conversation you can have with the police about their operating procedure. I'm reporting to you about police action. I've told
especially when it's coming on the back of a news item the person has done.
How do you know?
But we're using timing. But we're using timing.
There was an allegation that the editor attempted to extort money.
It is false. It never happened.
But you see,
he never tried to extort money from anybody.
You are being judgmental.
The investigation has since not proceeded.
You have taken over the job of the police.
So why has the investigation not proceeded? Why is he not being prosecuted?
And then number 2, he takes the example of my good friend who does the documentary, and the state, disagreeing with the documentary, takes the proper step of applying to the National Media Commission to have the matter looked into. Mr. Clement Park is saying that amounts to culture of silence.
Why did he feel threatened?
But I'm saying that threatened by whom?
I mean, the man is on record to have indicated that his life was in danger.
But you are making the claim, here that we are now living in a culture of silence. If it is just about the claim of threats, then it is as old as when I've met journalists who are older than, who were practicing before I was born, who used to tell me that they have received all kinds of threats. But you think that in America, journalists don't receive threats?
So what are we saying?
Journalists don't make the claim that they have received threats.
So what we're experiencing, I just want to understand, what we're experiencing today is not at the same level as what used to happen in the past. So it's not a culture of silence.
What we are experiencing today is a vibrant media that is clearly motivated enough to speak on the matters that they feel ought to be spoken about.
Okay, and the concerns of threats?
There are other members who are not in the media who feel that, no, there is too much noise and there's too much misguidance from the media that have to be corrected, and they're also doing their correction.
How?
That cannot be confused.
How are they?
You said to me that, or he said to me, have you looked at the reaction to Mr. Samjona's statement? Have you seen how people responded?
I said that.
So, viciously. I'm saying that if people respond to Mr.
Largely
Samjona,
government appointees,
including communicators from the government party and the government as well.
They are Ghana. They are citizens of Ghana. The government of Ghana officially has not responded to Mr. Samjona and said you have no right to speak on this matter.
Well, the president did.
I am a member of the government. I have an opinion on the issues that Sir Samjona addressed, and I expressed my opinions. And I'm saying that to the extent that Mr. Samjona can express his opinions freely, I can also be allowed to express my opinions freely. That should not mean culture of silence. However, if there is evidence that people are threatening Mr. Samjona, people have gone to give Mr. Samjona the midnight knock, okay? People have gone to shit bomb his place of work, like we saw under the NDC, and so on and so forth. Then we can talk about a culture of silence. And we are not talking about mere allegations. We are talking about allegations that can have the evidence shown to us.
Okay.
Not somebody getting up and saying that, well, I have been threatened, I have been threatened.
Okay, it is happening. You remember the Modern Ghana, the editors of Modern Ghana. You remember what happened to them? You remember the case involving the editors of Modern Ghana? We all know what happened to them. Clearly,
we haven't said.
State agencies, elements of national security, went there and did what they did. And you think that this is not an example of culture of silence? And what was their crime?
No, Mr.
All the accusations that they were being accused of till date.
Don't do this.
We have not had any further action in terms of prosecuting them for whatever offense they were supposed to have committed, which warranted the raiding of their offices and what they had to go through. So, Pius, you see, you people can try to dismiss this as much as you want. But don't forget that power is transient. Today,
the more reason why you shouldn't be doing what you're doing. The more reason why you shouldn't be doing what you're doing.
And you think that you can get away with this.
I'm scandalized.
But that is not the way to run a democracy.
No, I'm really scandalized.
It is not the way to run a democracy.
I want to say something. I want to say something. And this is not taking sides, but just an example. You see the way the men from National Security stormed City FM that day and how they made their movements on Zoe. If you are a reporter and you see that happen to a colleague, do you know what it does to you? Do you know the fear that that action alone puts in you?
You cannot find, look, Mama V, it's a serious matter. I can empathize with Caleb Kuda and any journalist in that situation, or Zoe Abubaidin, but we cannot hide behind emotionalism to veil this discussion.
This is not emotions.
The point I'm making.
I just said that I wanted to bring something to your attention.
You are appealing to people's emotions.
I'm not.
But you see, I agree.
Let me storm here right now.
No problem. No problem. The point I'm making is that I have not said that there have not been excesses reported in our history, or even currently that there have not been excesses. But you speak about the City FM matter. Have you checked, on the other hand, the reaction of the state the punitive steps that were taken. Have you checked that one? Are these not the assurances that the people should see to indicate? Let me just
Pius, this was an angled question. This was an angled question. This is not like the era that you talk about where there was military rule. If this happened under that, then you can put it in that category. But this didn't happen then.
That even in a democracy, there are excesses. Even the media, there are excesses. Many times you have gotten reportages wrong and you have apologized. There are excesses. And so even in your practice, there may be excesses. In the security practice, there are excesses. How those excesses are dealt with is what will differentiate the matter.
Okay.
But when Mr. Clement Park says that, do you recall this? I have said that I am against threats or attacks on journalists. And I think that people who are guilty should be punished heavily. But when, for instance, the bodyguard of Mr. John Mahama slaps the Joy FM reporter at a program, is that culture of silence? That cannot be culture of silence. That is an isolated case of a serious physical assault on a journalist, which must be dealt with and decisively.
Okay.
You see,
finally before we wrap up,
when this gentleman takes the recorder of a reporter and snatches it, can you describe that as culture of silence? I think that sometimes we reach too far, because we want to give the dog the bad name and hang it for political expediency.
Okay, just
and
a minute.
It is dangerous that the political class are involved in this.
Is the president the most vilified?
Absolutely.
I don't think so.
Absolutely. In fact, historically. Historically.
Are we going to do free senior high school?
if you want to comment, you can go ahead.
He spoke about it as well. No, and actually, he attacked Joy FM for leading an free senior high school campaign.
Me? Or
the president did.
But is that how you see it?
No, he said a radio station, but we all know.
You know it's Joy FM that is leading the campaign.
Joy FM is leading a campaign to fix the challenges being faced in the implementation of the policy.
By not including the Ghana Education Service.
By giving parents,
by not including
students, headmasters, teachers, and GES. In fact, Dr. Tando was part of that conversation.
Look at
he admitted.
Look at the misleading intervention.
No, it is on record.
Mr. Tando came to the station, and even right there on the station, he protested the uninvolvement of the Ghana Education Service.
And
they were invited. He says that they were invited as an afterthought. So in the design of the campaign, in the design of the negative campaign that the
we're listening to the two of you, and people can't. Otherwise, the time is running. Please land so that he can come in.
If you ask me, the president's pronouncements on a media house giving access to citizens to express their concern about what is wrong and to ask for the challenges to be fixed in itself is intimidatory. It's an example of trying to silence Joy FM. Yes, by and large, the president is admonishing, or if you like, reprimanding Joy FM for allowing citizens to express their concerns. And that is not right.
Look, you see the I don't okay. I was going to say something, it may have sounded harsh. But that's what we are faced with, okay? I hold the view that the president held. I think that we all should be involved in the campaign to fix everything and anything. And there is no policy in this world under the sun that I know of.
Agreed.
That does not have any problems. But any discerning reader or listener can also decipher between a campaign to fix a project and a campaign to give a policy a bad name. And so that one, you cannot take it away from me and saying that my expressing of that my opinion means that I am engaged in culture of silence. In any case, Mr. Park, you may not have met, but I have met hundreds of people who otherwise would not have been able to go to school.
That is not the argument.
But are you the one making my argument?
That is not the argument.
Are you the one going to make my argument?
We agree that the program is a good program.
Are you going to make my argument for me?
1.2.
You are not saying that that's not the argument.
1.2 million students.
I am trying to wrap up so that you can go to your next program.
1.2 million students in school. That's a good thing.
He says that that's not the argument.
1.2 million students in school is a good thing.
This is where we have to
end the conversation. Should they be sleeping in squalor? Should they have overburdened teachers? Should they be eating unwholesome food?
We have given them more teachers than you ever gave. We are building those schools that you have ever built.
This is where we have to end the conversation, Mr. Pius Hajide. Thank you very much for your time.
Just 1 second.
Thank you, Dr. Clement Apak.
Very well. You know Mr. Apak himself is a beneficiary of free SHS. You know Mr. John Mahama himself is a beneficiary of free SHS.
Nobody has said free SHS is bad. We have not said that. We want it to be better.
Thank you, gentlemen. Stay with us. We thank you for joining us on this segment. There's more. You're also watching the AM show right now. We want to make a quick trip to some parts of the country to monitor the situation of the laboratory scientists and whether or not they've called off their strike because, of course, the National Labour Commission went to court. There's an injunction. They are not expected to be striking. So what's the situation? Anas Sabit is reporting from Techiman Hospital. Anas, good morning. Are the lab scientists back working today?
No.
Hello, Anas. Anas Sabit, see if you can hear me. Can you? Okay, we have to work on the Anas. Okay, we have to work on that connection. So let's quickly go to WA, from where Rafiq Salam is reporting from the WA hospital. Rafiq, the whole of last week, or from Thursday, I think, Friday, the lab scientists were not working. What happened over the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, and what's the situation today?
The situation, Mama V, at the WA Municipal Hospital, I can report to you that hasn't changed. You can see behind me the door to the lab, which is closed, and there's this red banner hanging there since last week. When I came, I met the cleaner who was doing the usual cleaning right here, and then after an hour later, 3 of the lab scientists came around. But when I asked them whether they were coming to work, they told me that they are coming to pick some items from the lab. So currently, as I speak to you now, at the WA Municipal Hospital lab, nothing is going on here.
Are there officials or some of the lab scientists, and do they know the action that has been taken by the National Labour Commission?
I have spoken to a couple of them about the injunction put on by the NLC, and they told me that they are not going to abide by it, and that they are going on with what their leaders told them, and so they are not going to be at work today. And so I can even, you can even see a couple of them who somewhere are sitting under a tree now, and they are saying that yes.
Unfortunately, that feed seemed to have frozen there. Rafiq Salam just reporting from WA. Rafiq is back. Rafiq.
Hello.
Yes, Rafiq, we lost you just briefly as you were telling us about the lab scientists who have reported to work but sitting under a tree.
Yes, I want to pinpoint that you can see that clearly at my back. You can see a couple of them are seated on a bench there. They say they came to pick certain things from the lab, but they are not at work today. They are saying that they are not going to heed to what the NLC want to call on the injunction, but that they think that they are striking, and they think that governments come up and then meet their demands.
That's interesting. Are there patients around? Because the whole of last week we were talking about patients being stranded and not finding any place to do their lab tests, except if they have to travel miles away from the hospital. What's the situation with them today?
The situation, you know, in the Upper West Region, precisely our hospitals here, you know, the patients first go to the hospital, and after that they are directed to the lab to come for the test. And so as I speak to you now, there are a sea of patients before the doctors at the hospital, but none has appeared here. And so it will begin to shape up around midday when majority of the patients have seen the doctors and they are directed to come to the lab. And so in the morning here in the hospital, you don't see many people coming to the lab, except those who are inpatients and who have been directed to come for lab lab results. And so the windfall, as I stated last week, is now on the hands, or the beneficiaries are at this particular moment are the private lab scientists, laboratories. That's where everybody is heading to for them to have their lab results.
Rafiq Salam, we'll leave it here and allow you to monitor the situation so you can give us an update later in the afternoon. Rafiq Salam reporting from the Wa Hospital in Wa. Let's go back to the Techiman Hospital. Anas Sabit, hopefully you can hear me. We have a better connection. Anas, I'm asking of what the update is. Are the lab scientists back at posts?
No, Mama V, the situation is same here. Not any different from what Rafiq just told you. The doors of the lab, the laboratories still closed with red bands, and we have the notices they left last week indicating their strike action is on. And so we are unable to meet any of them to also ascertain or find out from them why they are not here. The facility is almost slow this morning because a few patients are spotted here. I know they are aware of the strike last week, and so a couple of them are moving to elsewhere to seek for medical attention this morning. I had the opportunity to engage the regional chairman of the Ghana Association of Medical Laboratory Scientists, Dr. Moses Kofi Wole, earlier on phone, and he indicated to me that the strike action continues. And he told me that their leadership is going to meet the Parliamentary Select Committee, I think on health, that is tomorrow, Tuesday, and until that meeting is held, they are staying off work, so they can't return to work until they know the outcome of that particular meeting. That is what the regional chairman told me. So here at the Abrafi Women and Children Hospital in Techiman, the strike action continues, and the hospital is as it was from Thursday and then Friday.
And Anas, I always like to ask about patients, because it comes down to us, the human beings, who will be needing their services. So do you find that there are patients still around hoping that they will work again, just like we witnessed them do last week?
There are quite a number of patients, and a lot of them are trickling in as I speak to you now, except that these patients do not know what is likely going to happen in terms of whether they will be attended to at the lab end, because the other departments of the hospital is working. So they can't tell whether the lab will be working. But I sat at the, in front of the lab for some time, and there are no patients around that end. I don't know if they are aware. And from last week, from the consulting room, these patients are told, if you have anything lab doing, do not go to the lab of the facility, go to the private lab outside. Maybe that is the reason why they are not queuing at the lab end. But at the OPD and the other parts of the hospital, you see a lot of patients coming in, hoping they will be attended to as usual. So that is the situation here, Mama V.
Anas Sabit, we will leave it here. I know that you'll be doing a lot of monitoring. Maybe we're just hoping that it's perhaps early yet, and they haven't gotten the news of that injunction that has been secured by the NLC. So we'll keep monitoring the situation. Anas Sabit reporting from Techiman this morning. But just to give you a little bit of updates, maybe it's not surprising that these lab sciences are not working, because guess what? Spokesperson for the Ghana Association of Medical Laboratory Scientists on the probe last night with MFR PAO said that the strike action was still on in other regions. And this is the explanation that Dr. Jesse gives, Dr. Edu Jesse. He says that the injunction on the strike action was placed on only the Komfo-Anokye chapter of the association. Also saying that following the court order, the national leadership is yet to communicate with the respective regions on the next line of action. He says the strike had been declared at the respective regions, and as far as my monitoring show, the lab scientists in the various regions and the chapters of the tertiary hospitals are still on strike. As you know, the National Labour Commission has secured an interlocutory injunction compelling laboratory scientists across the country to call off the strike. They started from the Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital on May 20, with medical lab scientists and allied professionals protesting the decision of the management to post 2 doctors to work in their units. The protest, which began as a sit-down strike, escalated into a total withdrawal of services after an emergency meeting on Wednesday, May 26. And even in the face of that court injunction, the strike seemed to still be on. And as we've heard from our reporters, Rafik Salam and Nasabit from Techiman and Wa, the offices in those 2 major hospitals, the lab scientists are not working. Offices are still closed. We'll be doing a lot of monitoring and we'll be bringing you a lot more updates here on Joy News. But just an update also on the National Science and Maths Quiz. That's where we move to now. Past and current students of the Keta Senior High School are optimistic of lifting the 2021 trophy of the National Science and Maths Quiz. They are convinced their impressive performance at the ADOTEY Regional Championship is a sign of good things to come in October. So Ketasco over the weekend beats Sogakope Senior High and Sunrise to earn their new title as ADOTEY Regional Champions. Here's Maxwell Agbobo's report.
And the celebration will continue unabated here. Ketasco has actually demonstrated that they are the best when it comes to the ADOTEY region. They were consistent at this year's national championship. Indeed, it's a well-deserved win for Keta Senior High Technical School, and the students here just cannot stop jubilating. Let's speak to the contestants. Let's find out from them what it feels like to win this.
Francis Calamini. Okay, so it feels so nice to be the first-time champions in the ADOTEY region, and we are grateful unto God and to our trainers, to our colleagues, the whole school. We thank everybody, and we pray that God will help us to increase and do better every time.
You are the trainer. Your name, sir?
Isaac Boateng.
Okay, you prepared them to win this.
Yes.
What is the feeling like for you?
Oh, I'm ecstatic, and exactly as we had, planned for. Everything is going on well. This year, our resolve is to get to the final and win the ultimate trophy, which has been something we've been working towards for years. So today, this particular year will be the realization year. We will definitely be in Accra, and we will stop at nothing than to get hold of the trophy, as we have just done to the ADOTEY Championship trophy.
Getting the regionals is our talent. Yes. It's a talent. Yes. It's our talent. And we are going to continue to deliver. You understand?
We have with us here Samuel Ajo of Primetime Limited.
Yeah, I mean, right from the first stage of the competition, that the Absa Bank ADOTEY Zona Championship, they showed the class that they belong to in terms of winning the first contest with an impressive 74 points. And at the semi-final stage also, they were able to win their contest convincingly, I think with 50-something points. And then in the finals, they were able to win. So far, totally, I must say I've been quite impressed with the schools who were in the championship. The schools mentioned like Sogakope SHS, Ola SHS, Sunrise SHS, Georgie Penny, Audum SHS. I mean, this class of schools indeed proved that they have what they have the arsenal to really do a solid work at the national championship. And so I want to believe that, judging from what we've witnessed over this 2-day period, I want to think that something really good is going to come from this part of the national championship. From Absa Bank, they are the main sponsors of the Zona Championship. I mean, for all the regional championships, Zona Championships that we are organizing across the country for NSMQ 2021, it is Absa Bank, the Africana City. That's what we have, and that's what we're showing here at the ADOTEY region in terms of the national Zona Championship here.
We have with us now the quiz mistress, Madam Gladys Shinga.
I'm impressed, especially with the Keta Senior High Technical School
contestants. They did well. Sogakofe also did very well. It was just not their day. Yes, they did well. But all through, I have realized Keta doesn't really do well in the first round. But from the second round, they just pick up momentum and then they just carry the day. So they worked with their formula and they worked for them. Yeah.
We have some old students who came here to the Nat Hall to support their school to victory. Let's speak to them. You're a former contestant, right?
Yes.
Which year?
2020.
2020. Okay. Oh, so you got to the semi-finals.
Yes, please. I really wanted a trophy last year, but I couldn't get. So this is an indication that we are going for the national one.
Okay.
So the other school should watch out for us. We are coming with fire.
Expect the very best from us. We are going back to do our homework, and the national should see something different.
Okay. Which year?
2014.
2014. Your name, sir?
Dr. Benjamin Boafo.
Okay.
Yes.
Which year?
2001.
2001?
Yeah.
That's a long time ago.
20 years ago, that's right.
Tell me, what's the feeling like?
Oh, it's fantastic. It's awesome. I'm actually very emotional about this. We worked really hard for this, and we are very happy that we've been able to achieve our goal.
And Maxwell Agbagba joins us, not from Volta OT, but this time Eastern Region. So from the Julalians, you went to the Eastern Region, Maxwell. There's a contest that will start later this morning. Tell us about it. Maxwell?
Well, that contest, we're going to have the first contest for today. This morning, we'll have Akwamuman SHS, Krobo Girls SHS, Manya Krobo SHS, Mount Sinai SHS, and then St. Thomas Senior High Technical School. In all, we're going to have quite a number of contests today. I'll be running you through them shortly. But here in the Eastern Region, we've had some schools arriving already. I see Bipong Senior High School. Other schools have also arrived here on the ground here at the Nat Hall where the qualification contest will be taking place. So in the southern zone, we know that in the Greater Accra region, Presec Legon, they are the champions when it comes to the region. Now, if you go to the central region also, we know it's Fancy Pim School. In the western region, it's Archbishop Porter Girls. And then when you come, now it is the turn of the eastern region. In the Volta region, Volta OT regions, we know it's Katasco. So the question we are asking is which school will rule the Eastern region at regional champions. Also, there will be regional qualification contests, and this will happen from Monday through to Wednesday, and then the rest of the days we're going to have the regional championship. I have some teachers here with me. I want to find out from them what it has been like, you know, getting their students ready for the regional qualification contest and the championship. So what's your name?
Charles.
Charles, great.
Yeah.
Tell me, which school are you representing?
Mount Sinai.
Mount Sinai. Okay, and then
Amadobia Boche, okay. Mount Sinai Senior High. I'm the assistant headmistress domestic.
Oh, assistant headmistress, great. Tell me, how prepared are your students for today's qualification contest?
I think last 2 years we were able to make it to national, but last year we couldn't make it. So right from our disqualification, we started preparation. So it had been like a year now that we started preparation. And then we had a lot of try contests, moving from schools to schools, trying to prepare them, letting them have that kind of feel and taking the shyness.
Ready for these qualification contests, and how do you motivate them so they can go, you know, for the best and go all the way to the finals, perhaps in October?
Like my colleague said, last year they went all the way to the national. So from last year till now, they've been doing a lot of things, a lot of learning, a lot of research. A lot has gone into this contest, and I can assure you that this time you should watch out for us.
Okay.
Hack Mount Sinai Senior High. Okay. We are back. Okay. Watch out for us.
Okay, we'll definitely be watching out for you. Thanks so much.
Okay, so that's about it. The first contest, the first qualification contest, will be taking place right here at exactly 9 o'clock a.m. Then we'll have the other contest also following subsequently. Mama V.
Where you are, so I'm just wondering what it would be for you, because you're going to spend a couple of days in the Eastern region.
Exactly, Mama V.
Okay. All right, Maxwell Agbagba, not exactly catching the joke though, but Maxwell Agbagba reporting from the Eastern region. Let's move to Manuel. Manuel is still in the Ashanti region. He's got the Prempeh Kumasi Anglican Senior High School student with him. Manuel, this is a tough one.
Finals really today. We have two semi-final contests and then of course the grand finale of the Ashanti Regional ABSA Championship. Well, the very first contest is going to feature Opokuwari School, Sims SHS, Kumasi Anglican. And the second one, of course, is going to feature Prempeh College, Kum Aka, and then Kumasi Senior High Technical School. And as you can see them, you know, Prempeh College really has a reputation in this particular competition. They won the very maiden edition in 1994, and then went on to win 3 more times. So they have 4 tournaments to their belt. But today, they say that they are going to show Ghana that they are in for their 5th trophy. And so as you can hear them behind me, I'm just trying to talk to them. Please, can you come down? Can you come down for me? Okay, can you come down for me? Where's this confidence coming from? Where's this confidence coming from?
You know, this year, we're on heat. This year, we're on heat, and we aim for the trophy. And I don't think any of these schools is a match for us.
You don't think any of these schools? Well, you proved to us in the qualifying round, scored 80 points. We've not seen that in the entire country. But we also know that this is not the first time that you are scoring 80 points. You've scored 80 points before, and then you were kicked out sometime on the road. So I mean, 80 points is not definitive that you're going to win.
You said sometimes. Hope you've seen the way I'm laughing. You've seen the way I'm laughing. This year, forget everybody. It's our year. I said we aim for the trophy. This year, nobody. The other schools. I'm just telling the other schools they should go and prepare for the WASI. They should go and prepare for the WASI.
Because they are not in the competition.
No, they are not in it. They should go and prepare for the WASI.
But wait, let's calm down. Guys, calm down for me. Calm down for me. In the first contest, we're going to see Opokuwari. Now, Opokuwari, even though they not score 80 points like you did, were really fast in their contest. Picked almost all the bonuses and so on. I mean, they are, for instance, going to make, the finals a real contest for you if they get there. No?
Never compare.
Never
compare a college to a school.
Never. What's the difference between a college and a school anyway?
Prempeh is a college. Opokuwari is a school.
Excellent.
Never do that comparison. School is for children, those children. And college, brilliant people, And
okay, I want to ask before I hand over to you before I hand over to you in the studio. Let me talk to this gentleman quickly. What's your name?
My name is Odumagri Hazel.
Okay. You are confident that your school is also going to win today?
Yeah, we are going to win because we are a college. So after the contest, everybody is going to find out the definition of a college and the difference between a school and a college.
You say it so calmly, as though you are the one who's going to be on the stage, and then you are the one who's going to answer. What?
Contestants. Evans is also a very brilliant boy and a very good partner to AD. So we are going to show Ghana what Prempeh College is.
Tell me, by what points are you going to win today?
More than 70 points. I know.
More than 70 points?
More than 70 is even less, but I know and I believe in my guys.
He's talking about what? He's talking about
a gap.
He's talking about a gap.
So you are going to win with a gap of 70 points.
When we are giving gaps. We are giving gap like this. Gap. We are giving gap. We are giving gap. We are not just winning. We are
finally, what?
Yeah, you said something. You said they were fast in their something. If they are fast, we are faster. And if they are faster, we are the fastest.
And so, I mean, you're just hearing the boys. I mean, it's a lot to chew on, a lot of brags. This is not even the finals. We've not gotten there yet. What we are going to see this morning are two semi-final contests. One featuring UWAS and the other one featuring Prempeh College. They've been tipped to meet up in the finals. And of course, the highest scoring losing school is going to join them in the grand finale. A way to be seen how all of this bragging and all of this noise is going to play out.
So watching the AM show, just a few things before we wrap up. Stay with us.